Welcome back. I'm Tyler, you're watching Scarfing Scarves, and welcome to another installment of I'm Telling Tyler, a write-in show where you can ask me questions, tell me the latest tea, and... Seriously, Marshmallow? Oh my god! Marshmallow! Seriously? Welcome back. I'm Tyler, you're watching Scarfing Scarves, and welcome to another installment of I'm Telling Tyler, a write-in show where you can ask me questions, tell me the latest tea, and so long as it's at least Lolita adjacent, you can send your queries and or complaints to imtellingtyler@gmail.com. So let's get started with our next submission from Peanut. And Peanut says, so a few years back, I had a close friend I'll call Walnut. Her and I had been virtually inseparable since middle school. She was a very volatile person to say the least, and the slightest thing would set her off, launching her into a vile, vitriol-filled rant, usually over text, of her picking out my biggest insecurities and leaving me a total wreck. She'd do this, then basically make me beg for her forgiveness, and it happened over and over and over again. After graduation, most of our mutual friends had cut contact with her for reasons like I mentioned above, but I, dumb as I am, stayed. This is about the time where I got my first job and began growing my Lolita collection. Now that I had money, I could actually start wearing the fashion that I'd admired for so long. Of course, being my closest friend, Walnut was fully aware of my new hobby and became interested. I was super excited that she was getting into Lolita as well, and we scoured the interwebs looking for her first dress. We eventually settled on a nice dress and were set to order it, but she has no money. An understandable problem, but her solution was to guilt a family member that she told me she didn't even like to buy it for her. Once the relative did, Walnut was right back to not speaking with her. Looking back on it, I really wish I had tried harder to stop her from doing that. Now, once Walnut had gotten her first cord, she started bragging about how she got to skip her Ida/baby Lolita phase because I was helping her out. Spoiler alert, my help was useless. I was, and still am, learning too. She ended up getting some secondhand dresses for around $80 altogether and putting her cords together. One of these dresses was a suspiciously cheap AP Dream Sky JSK, which she said had been altered to fit her size. Now, Dream Sky is an expensive dress to say the least, and with sizing so small that a chopstick would find it hard to wear. So I was really happy that she'd managed to get it so cheap and in her size as well. Oh, was I a fool. Cut to Facebook. We're both in a rather large group meant for advice, questions, and concret. She posts what I now know is a Dream Sky replica and a rather not good cord. As she posted it in a group made for this kind of thing, people started commenting and giving her advice. She did not like that. Walnut started getting peeved, snapping at the commenters who were trying to help and refuting others' claims that her dress was a replica. It all really amounted to, nuh-uh, my dress is brand and it's just made with different fabrics / a messed up print / a totally different size and style because insert excuse here. And yes, once I had looked it up, it was very clearly a knockoff. So things start getting more heated and she starts adding commenters who she found rude. Read anyone not kissing her ass. In replies to comments from those who were going out of their way to help an absolutely overly aggressive person like herself. Some commenters had literally put together full outfits for her along with links on where to get everything, but there was not even a smidge of gratitude from the high and mighty Walnut. She ended up admitting to the dress being a replica, but still claimed it was real on other sites, who caught wind of the whole debacle real quick and called her out on it. And ended it all by saying she was never looking for concrete in the first place and was just there to show off her cord and that she wasn't changing it. The admins then proceeded to turn the comments off. Not long after, I severed all ties with her for reasons that are pretty obvious. My friends, parents, girlfriend, and even psychologist urged me to do so, as he could see that it was affecting my mental well-being. She didn't take it well, and while most of her ranting was totally unrelated, she managed to be a hypocrite one last time by saying I was immature and beneath her for spending money on Lolita. And she was so much more mature and objectively better because she also bought Lolita but guilted her family into getting it for her? So she showed me, I guess. Anyway, she's still in the same comm as me, and I go out of my way to avoid her. Hope you like the story, and thanks for reading. Signed, Peanut, Spiller of Tea. I love stories like these. Maybe I'm a bad person, but I fracking love this. Where do we begin with this? I know you didn't ask any questions here. I know there aren't any questions, but I just find this so amusing. I love watching super entitled, seriously narcissistic people just flip their shit on a dime. Like, I love watching the aftermath from a distance, mind you. I don't want to be involved in it. I don't want to be in the middle. A Walnut here, which is the perfect name for her for various reasons, but Jesus Christ, lady. Jesus Christ. I am so sorry that you were ever friends with this person. In no way is that okay for her to play these hissy fit games and expect you to clean up her mess. I have no idea what kind of crazy it takes to think that acting like that towards your friend is okay. Specifically like the vitriol-filled rant, picking on your insecurities and just like leaving you a mess and then expecting you to crawl out of the hole she dug for you and fill it in yourself to smooth things over. Like, that's just ridiculous. Obviously abusive behavior, and I know you've come to terms with that. These types often prey on people who just have insecurities. They prey on people who are vulnerable to this type of thing, people who feel abandoned or alone or lost, and they use them to work out their own narcissism. They just use them as pawns in their own little game. Obviously you got out. I'm glad you got out. This is never okay, but I have to say this story is amazing. I'm so glad that for your mental well-being and, you know, just for the entertainment of everyone watching, that you just got to watch her flip her shit publicly one more time. Maybe that makes me a vindictive bad person, but I thoroughly enjoyed this. Thoroughly. I would read this again. My favorite part is that she was never looking for concrete in the first place. She was just there to show off her cord and she wasn't changing it. Like, I can just see it every fracking time some walnut loses their mind in Closet of Frills. I can just see this going down. And I'm pretty sure I know the group you're talking about, but I won't mention them right now because they get enough guff. I report on them enough. Those poor bastards. But no, thank you, Peanut, for this very amusing story. I thoroughly enjoyed that. Fantastic story. Like, I don't even know if I have so much as a reaction as just like, thanks for telling me this story. I enjoyed this thoroughly. I would watch her flip her shit again. Because I'm a bad person. I guess that's it. I just like the story. I don't have any commentary. I would listen to this again. Thank you very much, Peanut. We shall move on. Thank you for that tea. That was fan-fracking-tastic. The next submission is from Alexis, and Alexis says, ever since discovering you and Laura's channels, I've been itching to start wearing Lolita fashion. So far, I've gained an interest in goth, sweet, and OG. I know it's a lot, but I don't know where to start. As you may have already guessed, I am genderqueer. This doesn't put me off from wearing skirts or dresses, but it does make me worry a bit about how I would fit into the community. For me, I have short hair and don't like wearing wigs. Attached are Pinterest photos of what my hair looks like, as I'm not comfortable sharing pictures of myself just yet. I find them uncomfortable, especially for long periods of time. So here's my first question. Can I wear Lolita with short hair? Also, how accepting is the community of genderqueer and other LGBT+ people? Where do I even start finding pieces for my wardrobe? Can I wear more than one style of Lolita, or should I pick one and stick with it? Sorry for the barrage of questions, I just had a lot on my mind. Signed, Alexis. All right, Alexis, you asked like 50 fracking questions, so let me gather my brain. Let's just start with your first question first here. You've been itching to start wearing Lolita fashion, you like Sweet Lolita, Goth Lolita, and OG. You don't like wearing wigs, you are genderqueer, that doesn't bother you with any of the skirts, and you also have short hair. Your first basic question is, can you wear Lolita with natural short hair, so not a wig? That's the important part for you because you find them uncomfortable and you don't like to wear them. Fully understand that. Definitely team no wig, personally. They hurt my head. It is hard to stuff all this hair up into a wig cap and not have just a horrid line on your head for days afterwards. It looks like someone tried to cut my skull open the last time I wore one. It was not a fun experience. So yes, I got you on the no wigs. Short answer is yes, you absolutely can wear Lolita and obviously OG, since a lot of the OGs have short hair, with short hair. Perfectly fine to wear Lolita with short hair. Absolutely, absolutely doable. Before we address the other bevy of questions that you asked me in one tiny little paragraph, let's go to some examples because I feel like it would help you. I asked the interwebs on your behalf to show you some examples of said short hair in Lolita, and I believe they should be scrolling by as I go through. I've attached their Instagrams in the corner there, in case you want to follow them. And so I'm just going to keep that going. We're just going to have a slideshow. You're just going to see this slideshow of beautiful people for you to take inspiration from, for they are all fantastic. All right, so let's look at your other 15 fracking questions outside of can Lolitas wear short hair and be Lolita? The answer is yes. Yeah, you can have a buzz cut and still wear Lolita. You could be bald and still wear Lolita. You got to add some volume to the top if you're bald, like maybe a hat or something, but yes, absolutely with your hair type, with these curly images that you have attached, 100% you can wear Lolita. Put something on top, put a little bow, put a little hat, put a little beret to balance out your volume of your skirt with your head, you're good to go. All right, so let's answer your other question since there are 1,500. Your other question, or your second question in the list of questions, is How accepting is the community of genderqueer and other LGBT people? All right, to answer this question, I'm going to try and break it down as well as I can. The Lolita community is an alternative fashion community at its core, and alternative fashions tend to collect alternative people. It is also incredibly diverse insofar as gender, race, class. It's an incredibly open and warm and wonderful community. You have a few bad, I wouldn't even call them apples. I'd call them I don't know, grapes. A few bad grapes. They're pretty small, but they're just loud, and when you squish them, they make a mess. That's just my personal experience. I can't speak for everyone else, but from what I have seen in this community in the past rough decade, it is an incredibly welcome space for LGBT people and people who don't identify with any gender or identify with some other gender that I'm not yet aware of. As for your second question, where do I even start finding pieces in my wardrobe? That depends on what you want. That's a very, where do I find pieces? You like gothic, you like sweet, and you like OG. For me, I usually send people towards Bodyline because it's easy to buy from. But if you're savvy, you can also buy things from Taobao. I recommend Googling Taobao guides, Taobao shopping services. I definitely recommend, before I give you any further advice, to go to Big Sisters of Lolita Fashion pronto. Go there pronto. Check out all their guides that they have. I'm sure they have several written guides. Ask your questions there once you've read the proper material. Don't just jump out in the middle of nowhere and start asking questions that would take you 2 seconds to Google. Not sending you there to torture them. But head over to Big Sisters of Lolita Fashion, learn from them. They are specifically there to help you go through this, your initial phase of entering in this fashion, and they will treat you well. Big Sisters of Lolita will take care of you, right? Because that's a whole video. Where do you start building your wardrobe? That's a whole thing. When you do get started and you're hoping to get things at reasonable prices, I do recommend you check out Lace Market. And once you feel comfortable enough, if you're looking for the major Japanese brands, I recommend checking out Japanese secondhand sites like Frill or Mercari and using a shopping service to buy from them, because there are so many things you can buy on those sites that are half the price that they are at Lace Market. But Lace Market is easy. It's essentially like Lolita eBay. So I'd point you towards there. And also, Big Sisters of Lolita Fashion on Facebook. One more time. Join them. Ask them all your questions. Next question was, can I wear more than one style of Lolita, or should I pick one and stick with it? All right, so this one's pretty easy. When you first start out, pick one thing. I know it's going to be hard. I know it probably drives you a little nuts, but you need to be able to build off of that one thing as you increase and learn within your own wardrobe, right? So the first thing you buy, you build around that. So usually people say you want to buy your basics first, but I tend to think that the main piece is good motivation, and it's a good structural start so that you just have that dress ready to go. So you buy the main piece that you like, and then you start building things around it. Let's say you start with Sweet Lolita. You buy that main piece, and then you buy Sweet Lolita things to go around it. So you buy your Sweet Lolita blouse, you buy your jewelry, you buy your socks, you buy your shoes, you buy your petticoat. Build around that until you are comfortable in it. That way you're not jumping around in the beginning without having anything cohesive. So things like your jewelry, things like your head bows, your socks can shift in between cords. That's why you start with one substyle, but you can absolutely wear more than one. There is absolutely no rule that says you have to stick with one substyle or even stick with Lolita. You can be an OG tomorrow if you want. And I think that's where I'm going to wrap it up. This has been Tyler. You've been watching Scarfing Scarves. And one more time, thank you for watching our latest installment of I'm Telling Tyler, a write-in show where you can send me your tea, ask questions, and so long as it's at least Lolita adjacent, you can send your tea and or queries to imtellingtyler@gmail.com. I'd like to take a moment to thank my patrons for sitting through this. God knows what I've said at this point. I've already chucked it out of my brain. And should you like to join their number, you can head over to patreon.com/lastweeklolitanews. I don't know why I did that in my Lolita News voice. Whatever. It's the only voice I got. All right. This has been Tyler, and I'll catch you next time. Shout out to Grace, specifically. She's too gorgeous for this world, and it makes me angry.